The moment after I drugged Justin Brooke, I woke up to my role in the story, the villainess. Turns out, Justin was the devoted second male lead in a CEO romance novel. After I drugged him, he was forced to give up the female lead. From then on, he despised me. In the end, he destroyed my family and personally sent me to prison. The plot that suddenly flooded my brain left me in a cold sweat. The hand I had reaching for his belt suddenly felt like it was on fire, and I scrambled off the bed. But in the next second, the man behind me pulled me into his arms. Justin's eyes were flushed, his shirt half undone. His usually cool, roguish face was now a mask of insatiable desire. "Why'd you stop? Why'd you stop?" Justin's voice was hoarse as he held me tight, my nose filling with his cool, woody scent. His warm breath brushed against my ear, sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. I couldn't help but look back at him. Justin was half reclined on the bed, the corners of his eyes flushed red. His normally cool, sharp features were now full of desire, his gaze fixed completely on me. I'd already pulled his shirt halfway down to his waist, and his firm waistline was just a hand's reach away. The sight made my head spin, but the plot replaying in my mind was a constant, blaring alarm. The world we were in was a cheesy romance novel called My Runaway Mommy Bride. The heroine, Bella White, was a sweet, innocent girl with an unbreakable spirit. While working at a karaoke bar, she met the male lead, Evan Smith, and the second male lead, Justin Brooke. Both of them gradually fell in love with her. And me? I was the villainess, in love with my childhood friend Justin, but my feelings were never returned. Finally, at a party, I made my move on him. After one reckless night, I ended up pregnant, and Justin was forced into a business marriage with me. From that point on, he loathed me. He orchestrated my family's bankruptcy, my brother got into a car crash, and my parents died in an accident. Eventually, he sent me to prison himself. The day I went to jail, the sky was overcast, and the rain poured down. And the love-struck fool that I was, with tears in my eyes, I'd stupidly asked him, after all these years, was there not even a single second you felt something for me? His expression was blank, his voice chilling. Every second I spent with you was utterly disgusting. My thoughts snapped back to the present. Looking at Justin behind me, I broke out in a cold sweat, his words of disgust still ringing in my ears. I shoved my way out of his arms and jumped off the bed, putting a good 6 feet between us. Justin's eyes gradually cleared as he coolly watched my series of frantic movements. I looked at his expensive, wrinkled shirt and forced an awkward laugh. This is all a misunderstanding. I drank too much and got the wrong person. Just pretend this never happened. See ya. With that, I didn't dare look back again. I bolted out of there like my hair was on fire. The next day, my best friend, Lily Lynn, and a group of our girlfriends invited me out for drinks. The moment she saw me, Lily gave me a playful nudge and a smirk. "Carrie, so, how did last night go?" I ignored her and downed a glass of liquor in one go. The other girls exchanged confused glances, not understanding my reaction. Seeing my gloomy expression, Lily stroked her chin thoughtfully. "Don't tell me Justin wasn't performing?" Seeing their mixed expressions of confusion and shock, I let out a deep sigh. Girls, I'm so screwed. My frantic expression left them baffled, but before they could ask anything else, a loud commotion erupted from the crowd below. We all looked over to see the innocent heroine, Bella White, standing alone and terrified in the middle of the room, her delicate face filled with helplessness. A greasy-looking older guy had her by the hand and wouldn't let go. "This suit cost me thousands. You think a simple oops is going to cover it? No way, you're going to have to make this right today." The drunk man shouted, clutching Bella's wrist. Just as we were about to go see what was happening, Justin and the male lead, Evan, arrived on the scene. I froze on the stairs, silently watching Justin approach Bella. His face was as expressionless as ever, his eyes cold and unapproachable. But the way he moved to protect Bella was so gentle it made my heart ache. Bella looked up, tears welling in her eyes, and called out his name softly, "Justin." My own eyes stung, but I masochistically forced myself to keep watching Justin's every move. Just need some exposure therapy, I told myself. Downstairs, Justin seemed to sense something and his cool eyes swept in my direction. I quickly looked down, avoiding his gaze. My friends behind me saw Justin shielding Bella and carefully watched my reaction. Lily glanced at me a few times and chose her words carefully. Justin's probably just helping someone out. Don't overthink it, Carrie. One of the other girls rolled her eyes and jabbed Lily, silently telling her to shut up. After Justin and Evan arrived, the older guy scurried off. I stopped paying attention to what was happening downstairs, grabbed my purse, and told Lily and the others, something came up, I'm heading home. Then I went downstairs and left the bar. When I got home, my brother was working from his home office. He looked up, surprised to see me. Back so early today, princess? I ignored him, walked straight to the kitchen, poured him a cup of coffee, and handed it to him. My brother's eyes widened, looking both surprised and flattered. What's wrong, princess? Need more money? Brother, can you arrange a meeting for me with that mogul from Hong Kong, Brendan Chen? My brother froze, the coffee cup halfway to his lips. What's this all about? Done chasing after your Justin? What good are men, anyway? I want to contribute to the family business for a change, I said, clinging to his arm and putting on my sweetest voice. Ever since my revelation yesterday, I'd been thinking about this constantly. Because I had loved the wrong man, I ended up causing the tragic deaths of my brother and parents. All for a man. Now that I knew the plot, what was I, a good-for-nothing rich kid who just partied and waited for an inheritance, going to do to change this ending? Our family doesn't need to sell off its daughter to stay in business. Carrie, your mom and I just want you to be happy. My brother stroked my head affectionately. A lump formed in my throat, and I buried my face in his chest, sobbing. My family, who loved me so much. In the end, I did get the meeting with Brendan Chen. As we sat in the restaurant, I smoothed my wavy hair and studied the man across from me. He wore a bespoke suit, his facial features sharp and clean, with high-set brow bones. Every movement he made was calm and poised, the picture of a gentleman. Thank you, Brendan said with a smile to the waiter who brought our food. I mentally gave him points. Composed and polite. Even if there was no love, I thought, a life with someone like him wouldn't be so bad. As we were getting along well, my earring got tangled in my hair. My earlobe was starting to turn red and throb. I tilted my head, struggling to free it. Seeing my predicament, Brendan leaned in slightly. Need some help? From a distance, the angle must have looked like we were kissing. Carrie? A man's voice called out from behind us. I turned to see Evan and Justin. Evan's questioning gaze shifted between me and Brendan, while Justin, standing beside him, had a grim expression, looking for all the world like a husband who'd just caught his wife cheating. I finally untangled the earring and held it in my palm. I didn't look at Justin, just gave Evan a slight nod before ignoring them both. Evan recognized Brendan as the Hong Kong tycoon who had recently been expanding into the mainland, so he walked over to say hello. Justin stood next to me, his faint, woody scent shamelessly flooding my senses. I kept my head down, cutting my steak, letting my wavy hair fall over my shoulders to block Justin's direct stare. But my useless brain went right back to that blush-inducing night. My mom said you haven't been over in a while. Why don't you and your brother come for dinner tomorrow? Justin's sudden voice shattered my muddled thoughts. I paused for a moment, then replied without looking up, my brother is busy tomorrow, and I already have plans with a friend. Please give my apologies to your aunt. The plot I now knew filled me with resentment. On some devilish impulse, I added, you could always invite Bella. Justin didn't say anything. I kept cutting my steak, pretending to be busy. Only when his woody scent was gone did my tense body finally begin to relax. I had 2 reasons for refusing. First, I really did have a housewarming party with Lily tomorrow. Second, ever since I learned the plot, my feelings for Justin had become complicated. I hated him for his ruthlessness, and I hated myself for being willing to throw everything away for love. But whenever he appeared, the affection I had suppressed with logic would reactivate like a pre-programmed command. This emotional conflict made me have a stress reaction every time I saw him now. I was disgusted with him, and with my own foolish self. Brendan looked on thoughtfully, watching me zone out as Justin walked away. As it happened, Brendan had some business dealings with Lily's family recently. So the next day, I invited Brendan to come with me to Lily's housewarming party at her new villa up in the hills. My gift to her was one of my recent paintings. I'd always loved ink wash painting, but my interest faded after Justin mocked my work as chicken scratch when we were kids. After my plot awakening, with nothing better to do, I'd picked up the hobby again. The moment I walked in with my gift, I saw a few uninvited guests. Evan was on the balcony, teaching Bella how to play a board game. Justin was lounging on the turmeric-colored sofa, his hair falling slightly over his eyes, softening the line of his jaw. Hearing the door open, his cool, deep-set eyes glanced over. Our gazes met for a second before he turned his attention to Brendan beside me. I was the first to look away, so I missed the dark, brooding look in his eyes. Lily came over with a smile, took the gift from my hands, and whispered in my ear, "I don't know why Bella came along." "I'm so sorry, girl." I waved it off, chatted with my friends for a bit, and then headed toward the pool. I was lounging bored on a deck chair by the pool, scrolling through celebrity gossip. Suddenly, someone sat down in the deck chair next to me. I looked up and saw it was the innocent heroine, Bella. A bad feeling washed over me. I started to get up to leave, but Bella suddenly grabbed my wrist. I frowned in confusion. She just smiled and whispered, "Sorry about this." The next second, I felt a strong pull, and both of us tumbled into the pool. The cold water rushed into my mouth and nose. My face twisted in pain as I struggled helplessly, trying to grab onto something. I could hear people shouting on the deck. As my consciousness started to fade, I saw a figure swimming toward me. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Brendan was just walking in with a thermos. His face was handsome, his eyes gentle and clear, giving off an approachable vibe. "You're awake? I just got some warm water. Did you save me?" My throat was dry and painful when I spoke. Brendan poured me a glass of water. The soft sunlight streamed through the window, bathing his handsome features in a gentle glow. "Drink some water first." I took the glass, but then I remembered Bella dragging me into the pool. I shot up straight. "Where's Bella?" "Evan rescued her. She's fine." I sipped the water slowly, my mind blank as I started to spin conspiracy theories. Her pulling me into the pool was obviously premeditated. But why would she do that? What did she have to gain from it? While I was trying to figure it out, the doctor came in for his rounds. He said I was fine, and since I hated the smell of antiseptic, I checked out early and went home. After I got back, Justin, for the first time ever, called me several times, but I was in the shower and missed them. When I saw the missed calls, I figured it was the same old story, the devoted second male lead calling to ask why I was so cruel as to push his Bella. I pursed my lips at my phone. It was better to let sleeping dogs lie. I didn't call back. I spent the next little while recovering at home, painting in my studio during the day. Life was peaceful and pleasant. The next time I saw Justin was 2 weeks later, at a welcome home party for a childhood friend who had just returned from abroad. I was afraid of running into the main characters and their drama, so I originally planned to decline. But my friend, Henry Bernard, pleaded and pestered me relentlessly. We'd been friends since we were kids, so I gritted my teeth, threw something on, and went to the private room Henry had booked. As soon as I walked in, Henry pushed me into the seat right next to Justin. He knew I'd had a crush on Justin since we were little and shot me a conspiratorial wink. I was speechless. I really wanted to shout, "Times have changed, my friend." Justin sat beside me, drinking quietly, not even glancing in my direction. Of course. He probably thought I, the evil villainess, had just pushed his precious heroine into the water and was still fuming. I put on an equally cold expression and leaned back on the sofa, scrolling through my phone. I scrolled with one hand and reached for the fruit platter on the table with the other. My grip slipped, and a cherry tomato rolled down the curve of the table like it was on a roller coaster. I quickly reached out to catch it, but a well-defined hand was faster, cupping itself right under mine. My hand shot back reflexively. The touch was warm, but fleeting. My heart pounded. I looked up, and Justin turned to look at me at the same time. I avoided his gaze. The back of my hand felt like it had been seared by fire. I sat up straight, feeling awkward. Evan arrived with Bella in tow. It was clear Bella had dressed up for the occasion, sleek black hair, a white dress, a delicate face. She looked like the heroine of a coming-of-age tearjerker. Henry, always the life of the party, saw that most people had arrived. After a few rounds of dice games and talking in riddles, he grabbed a bottle and announced we were playing Truth or Dare. Henry went first. The bottle spun and wobbled to a stop in front of Bella. She looked like a startled bunny, her big, dark eyes widening, before she smiled shyly and said, "Truth." Henry, figuring that since she came with Evan and he was so protective of her they were practically dating, cleared his throat, ready to play wingman. "Is there anyone in this room that you like?" Bella's face turned bright red, but to everyone's surprise, she didn't look at Evan. She looked at Justin. The tension in the room skyrocketed. Gossipy eyes darted back and forth between the three of them. She bit her lip, her eyes shy, and whispered, "Yes." There wasn't the expected round of whooping and hollering. Everyone just looked at me, then at each other, and finally back at me. Besides Bella, everyone at the table was a childhood friend. They all knew about my pathetic, years-long pursuit of Justin. Was a rival showing up out of nowhere? And what was the deal with Evan? As for those of us at the center of the storm, Justin didn't even look up at the answer, as if he couldn't care less. He just lit a cigarette with his long fingers. I was outwardly as cool as a cucumber. Only Evan seemed a bit distracted. It was Bella's turn to spin the bottle. With a delicate hand, she gave the bottle a gentle push. Whether it was intentional or not, it stopped right in front of Justin. He seemed uninterested. He lifted his eyelids slightly, his voice hoarse. "Truth." The blush returned to Bella's cheeks. "Is there anyone in this room that you like?" The smoke swirled around him, obscuring his face. I could only make out the profile of his high-bridged nose and thin lips. Everyone held their breath, waiting for his answer. Then, in a voice that was quiet but clear, he said, "Yes." A collective gasp went through the room. This was Justin, the coldest and most reserved of them all, admitting he liked someone, and that she was here. His words were like a clap of thunder on a clear day, leaving everyone's jaws on the floor. They all thought this party was worth it, just to get some dirt on Justin. Amid the shock, only I remained calm. Not only was I not surprised, I had a feeling of course. No matter how cold the second male lead was, he still had a heart. And, true to romance novel fashion, that heart was devoted to the female lead and her alone. It was perfectly normal. Justin ignored the questioning looks from everyone and picked up the bottle with his long fingers. He didn't even spin it. He just pointed it right at me. Everyone was baffled by this maverick move. You could do that? He had exceptionally striking features. Even just sitting there emotionlessly, he radiated an undeniable aura of refined elegance. But now, he was staring right at me, his cool eyes seeming to hook right into your soul. As everyone held their breath, wondering what he would ask me, he spoke. "I called you so many times. Why didn't you answer?" My eyes widened. My back went rigid. I stared at him in disbelief. Henry slammed his hand on the table in excitement, letting out a loud shout. A chorus of oaths echoed around us. Only Bella's face went pale. His next questions completely ignored the rules, launching a rapid-fire attack at me. "I sent my executive assistant to take care of you." When I finished up at the office and went to the hospital, the doctor said you'd already checked out. You also avoided me when I asked you to my house for dinner. Are you avoiding me? In all the years we'd known him, no one had ever heard Justin, a man of famously few words, say so much at once. His tone was calm, but anyone could hear the undisguised sense of grievance hidden within his words. I stared blankly at Justin, who was frowning as he waited for my answer. Henry's and everyone else's prying, gossipy gazes left me with nowhere to hide. I stood up, pulled Justin out of the room, and as soon as we were somewhere private, I demanded, "Are you insane? What are you doing?" The corners of his mouth turned up slightly, but there was no smile in his eyes. What I really want to know is, who did you mistake me for that night? My mouth opened, but no words came out. He continued, "You touched me all over, and now you don't want to take responsibility? Am I some kind of toy you can just play with whenever you want? Answer me, Carrie Smith." I stood there, frozen. Was this the Justin I knew? Were those shameless words really coming from him? The image of his indifferent, distant face the day I was sent to prison slowly began to overlap with his current expression, a wounded look, demanding justice for himself. In the end, I fled in a panic. I sat on my bed, looking at the moon outside, feeling like this world was getting stranger and stranger. It all felt so unreal, like I was walking on cotton. So, what did Justin mean? Did he mean what I thought he meant? I replayed everything in my head. Was it because he thought I pushed Bella into the water? If I hadn't become self-aware and was still that pathetic, lovesick villainess, his revenge would have been easy. But now I was completely avoiding the main characters. So, was this the heroine's knight in shining armor's new way of getting back at me? I was trying so hard to break away from them and start my own life. Why were they still haunting me like ghosts? The more I thought about it, the more restless I became. If he was dead set on revenge, I was no match for Justin's schemes. I sent a text to my brother, who was still on a business trip abroad, warning him to be careful of Justin. After pacing my room for what felt like an eternity, I finally sent Justin a text as well. I didn't push Bella. Check the security footage if you don't believe me. Then I blocked and deleted his number. Only then did my heart calm down a little. The next morning, Justin showed up at my house unannounced and cornered me. "I think there might be a misunderstanding between us. Can we talk?" We walked out to the garden. I stood with my arms crossed, my back to him. The atmosphere felt unsettling, so I urged him, "Just say what you have to say." "I have nothing to do with Bella." I rolled my eyes at his words and retorted, "I never said you did. But you seem to care a lot about her." The moment I heard Bella's name, I remembered her pushing me into the pool for no reason. I immediately flared up, turning around to face him with a cold glare. "What do I have to do with her? Why would I care about her? Or is it that you care about her, so you have to second-guess everything everyone else does? This is ridiculous. Justin, if this is all you wanted to talk about, then I don't think we have anything more to discuss. And don't worry, I'm over you. I won't do anything to Bella. Do me a favor and keep her in check, and tell her to stop messing with me." With that, I ignored the sudden change in Justin's expression and started to walk away. As I passed him, Justin grabbed my wrist tightly. His sharp features now held an almost shattered panic. "That's not what I meant." His voice, full of disgust as I was being sent to prison, and the final, tragic state of my parents and brother, these memories often woke me up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night. Maybe I was finally letting go. Or maybe I just didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. Looking at his expression now, I felt nothing inside. I just let out a cold laugh. "Then what do you mean, Justin? I was afraid every second you spent with me was utterly disgusting, so I got the hell out of your way. I stayed far away from all of you. Is that still not good enough? Why are you chasing after me now? Just to make my life miserable?" After saying all that, my heart ached as if it were being squeezed tight. But I refused to back down, staring at him defiantly. "When did I ever say you were disgusting? Don't say things like that just to be hurtful." It hurts me, too. Bella and I have nothing to do with each other. Are you angry because of what happened at the bar? If you don't like it, I won't have any contact with her again. Justin's hand was still clamped around my wrist, refusing to let go. The usually reserved man now seemed at a complete loss. Heh. What's your deal now? Don't tell me you've fallen for me. Yes. I've fallen for you. His directness left my mind a blank slate. The retort I had ready died on my lips. I was silent for a long moment before I forced myself to sound calm. The person you like is Bella. You just haven't realized it yet. Even if you don't like her now, you will eventually. I don't want to get involved in your relationship. I couldn't gamble on his sincerity. The price was too high, and it wasn't a bet I could afford to lose. So I took a deep breath and continued, if you really like me, then let's not contact each other again. For the sake of all the years we've known each other. Brendan and I continued to see each other, but our meetings felt more like business appointments than dates. He invited me to be his date for a corporate banquet in the capital. I had just arrived at my usual salon when I ran into Bella, already in her evening gown, with Evan by her side. I'd heard that Evan's family had been trying to set him up on blind dates, and his way of rebelling was to bring Bella to even more events. But whatever was going on with the main characters was none of my business. I still hadn't gotten my revenge for her pushing me into the pool, though. By the time Brendan and I arrived at the hotel, it was already crowded. To match my gown, I had worn a pair of heels that were rubbing my feet raw. But on the surface, I maintained a graceful and radiant appearance, making small talk with Brendan at my side. I looked up and saw a meticulously dressed Bella laughing and chatting in the center of a crowd, with Evan on her arm. Justin was on the other side of the room, holding a glass of wine, surrounded by people. Lily, seeing the scene, whispered, I heard Evan's mother really dislikes her. She even offered Bella a check to get her to leave, but Bella, full of pride, tore it up on the spot. Said his mother was insulting their love. Then she went and told Evan. Now the relationship between Evan and his mom is a total war zone. And look at her now, all glamorous next to Evan. The rumor in our circle is that she's with him while also stringing along other rich guys. A lot of them have fallen for her act. I took a sip of red wine, listening to Lily's gossip. It was all so predictable. Spoiled, rebellious rich kids who get tired of their 5-star meals and develop a taste for plain porridge. Bella may have come from a poor background, but she projected a naive innocence and a bone-headed sense of integrity that us pampered heiresses, who've seen it all, couldn't give them. She would take them to eat at dusty roadside beef noodle stands. She would play with cheap, $1 sparklers with them. I heard that a few days ago, she made Evan walk home in the rain with her because she didn't want to be wasteful and spend money on a taxi. Apparently, Evan came down with a fever for 3 days and got acute gastroenteritis. So romantic. Losing interest in the gossip, I slipped away to the rooftop for some fresh air. I hadn't been on the rooftop for long when I heard familiar footsteps at the door. Justin walked slowly toward me, holding a band-aid. It was as if our last conversation had been completely forgotten. I sat on the rooftop swing, avoiding his touch as I took the band-aid from him and said a quiet, "Thank you. I saw the paintings you posted on your social feed. They're very good. I have a friend who teaches at the Art Academy, and he specializes in ink wash painting. I can connect you if you're interested." I didn't respond. Justin kept talking. Finally, unable to stand his rambling, I cut him off coldly. "Have you forgotten? When we were kids, you said my paintings looked like chicken scratch." Justin pressed his lips together, silent for a moment. "Because you were painting Henry Bernard that day." The silent standoff between Justin and me was interrupted by Bella appearing at the doorway. "Justin." Bella's voice was soft and delicate. Justin was standing directly in front of me, so she didn't see me. Justin glanced to the side. His eyelids were thin, his lowered lashes a deep, dark blue. A gentle evening breeze blew past. The dappled moonlight on his profile made him seem even more distant and cold. Bella bit her lip and said cautiously, Evan told me your favorite food is spicy Hunan cuisine. I've recently learned a couple of dishes. Would you like to come over sometime? As a thank you for helping me out at the bar. I sat leisurely on the swing, enjoying a close-up view of the romantic drama unfolding between the heroine and the second male lead. Justin's expression didn't change, but his words were sharp and merciless. It's not that I love spicy food. Carrie loves it, so I just eat it with her. And at the bar, I was only helping out for Evan's sake. As for you deliberately leaning into me, did you consider how Evan would feel? Also, all those messages you send to my work number every day are causing me a lot of trouble, Ms. White. Bella's blushing face turned pale at his words. Large tears welled up on her lashes, making her look so pitiful and sad that even I felt a pang of sympathy. Justin, how could you? Am I interrupting something? A male voice cut off Bella's sob. Evan was leaning against the door behind her. His face was dark, his eyes fixed on Bella. Who knew how long he'd been there or how much he'd heard? Bella was instantly flustered, staring blankly at Evan's sudden appearance. Justin took the band-aid from my hand, knelt down, and held my ankle to apply it for me. When Justin knelt, Bella immediately noticed my presence. She stood frozen, her face ashen, like a statue. Her beautiful features were slightly twisted, her eyes filled with humiliation and shame. Justin took off his suit jacket, draped it over my cool shoulders, and led me off the rooftop. Just before we left, I faintly heard Evan say, "Bella White, you've got some nerve." It looks like Bella's whole persona has collapsed. I heard Evans already agreed to the blind dates his family set up. Lily lay on the sofa in my bedroom, sipping her boba tea and mumbling. I, with a face mask on, casually replied, "They probably just had a fight. They'll make up in a couple of days." Lily thought for a moment, then leaned in excitedly. "Hey, so with Justin chasing you so aggressively lately, what are your thoughts?" "My parents really like Brendan Chen, but my brother isn't a fan." Lily pouted. "I don't like Brendan either. He gives off this vibe of fake kindness, a total egoist. Do you remember when you fell into the pool? As soon as you went under, Justin looked like he was about to lose his mind. He jumped right in to save you. Brendan, on the other hand, waited until you were rescued before even lending a hand." My hands, which had been applying skincare, suddenly stopped. It wasn't Brendan who saved me? Of course not. And you know my family has business with him, but for some reason, I just feel like that guy. I didn't really hear the rest of what she said. I had always thought it was Brendan who saved me. When I asked him, he didn't deny it. So it was Justin. A few days later, Brendan invited me to dinner. I looked at the man across from me, but Lily's words were all I could think about. We were eating in silence when Justin and a few people from his company walked into the restaurant. As soon as he entered, it was like he had a radar. He spotted me immediately. His group then sat down at a table near ours. My body went stiff. I snuck a glance over. He was leaning casually in his chair, lighting a cigarette. His perfectly sculpted face was both coolly elegant and tinged with a hint of loneliness. After dinner, Brendan and I left the restaurant, one after the other. The car was parked not far away. We had just stepped onto the sidewalk when a small car came speeding toward me. My breath caught. I stared numbly as the car got closer and closer. I wanted to run, but my feet were frozen to the ground. The next second, I was pulled into a warm embrace. My heart seized. Still in shock, I clung tightly to the man in front of me, my mind a complete blank. "How long are you going to keep taking advantage of me?" The teasing words snapped me back to reality. I looked up. It was Justin. I shoved him away. He let out a pained grunt, and I realized his arm seemed to be injured. Forgetting all about Brendan, I quickly called 911 while driving Justin to the hospital. After an examination, it turned out to be a minor fracture in his left forearm. I took Justin home. Feeling guilty, and because he said he was craving my shrimp porridge, I went to the supermarket, bought shrimp and started cooking in his kitchen. The police report came back just then. The driver was drunk. I snorted. That driver seemed perfectly sober to me when he was heading straight for me. It was obviously deliberate. When Justin heard the result, he rubbed his fingers together, his cool eyes frosted over. I brought the cooked shrimp porridge out from the kitchen. Justin scooped up a spoonful with his good hand and took a small taste. The last time I had this was when you made it for me in high school. I kept my eyes down and didn't reply. Why do you hate me so much now, Carrie? You at least owe me a reason. I'm heading home. Tell me what you want to eat tomorrow, and I'll come make it for you, I said, picking up my bag. Don't go. Justin forgot his left arm was injured. He reached for me, then flinched in pain. His elbow accidentally knocked over a bowl of scalding porridge, spilling it all over himself. I rushed to grab paper towels to wipe the mess off him. Afraid he was burned, I pulled him into the bathroom to run cold water over the area. By the time I realized what I was doing, one of my hands was lifting his shirt, and the other was touching his abs. My face instantly flushed red. I awkwardly straightened up. Justin's right hand was clenched into a tight fist at his side, his body trembling, the tips of his ears bright red. I forced a grin to hide my embarrassment. Maybe you should do this yourself, I said, and bolted out the door. Justin's fracture took over a month to heal. He was a picky eater, especially when he was sick. To make it up to him, I went to his house every day for over a month to cook for him. Today, an artist I really admired was having an exhibition nearby. After I made him his meal, I went to the art show by myself. When I came out of the exhibition, I was kidnapped. A burlap sack was thrown over my head. I could vaguely sense that I was in a large, empty warehouse. After the car accident, I had a feeling something was off, so I had set up the emergency contact and location tracking on my watch. My brother and the police should be able to find me soon. My hands were tied behind my back. I sat quietly on a wooden chair, not making a sound. The warehouse door slowly opened. A man with a gravelly voice who sounded like he was in his 40s spoke. I've got the person for you. When do I get the rest of the payment? The other person didn't speak. The middle-aged man continued menacingly, I'm a desperate man with nothing to lose. If you don't keep your word, don't blame me for taking you out too. A suspicion started to form in my mind. I ventured a guess. Bella? The warehouse fell silent. I knew I was right. The next second, the sack was roughly pulled off my head. There was no one else in the warehouse but Bella. The harsh light made my eyes water. Bella patted my cheek with a cold laugh. You're a pretty smart second female lead. Bella turned around, picked up a can of gasoline, and started splashing it around me. As she poured, she said casually, if you hadn't shown up, would have completed my mission and gone home a long time ago. Justin's affinity level hasn't budged an inch, and the affinity level for Evan, who I worked so hard on, has dropped to 0. Carrie Smith, you have no idea how much I want you to die a miserable death. So that was it. Pushing me into the pool now made perfect sense. It was probably because I, the villainess, didn't follow the original evil plotline, so she staged that whole scene to frame me and solidify her innocent heroine persona. Bella's delicate face was filled with malice. She curled her lip, lit a lighter, and said softly, don't blame me. Blame yourself for not getting a better script. You just had to get in my way. With that, she tossed the lighter. The gasoline ignited instantly. At the same moment, the warehouse door was kicked open. Justin and the police burst in one after another. Before Bella could react, she was pinned to the ground. It turned out that after my car accident, Justin had arranged for people to watch Bella's every move. Justin couldn't wait for the police, he charged straight into the fire. A wooden beam above my head was burning. I screamed at him to get out. Just as the burning beam was about to fall, Justin rushed in front of me, shielding my head completely. The heavy timber crashed down on his back. I thought I could smell his flesh burning. He was drenched in a cold sweat from the pain but only let out a muffled grunt, as if afraid of scaring me. He just kept whispering, "It's okay." We were rescued and rushed to the hospital. I was fine, but Justin had severe burns. I sat outside the operating room, tears streaming down my face. After Justin was moved to a hospital room, he fell into a coma. I stayed by his bedside for days, never changing my clothes, but he didn't wake up. During this time, Brendan never contacted me once. I figured it was because of the rumors circulating that I had been disfigured. I didn't care about Brendan. I just focused on taking care of Justin. Even Justin's mom couldn't stand it anymore and told me to go home and rest. I shook my head, insisting on staying. She told me to be good, go home, take a shower, and change my clothes, and she would take over for a while. So that evening, I went home to freshen up and grab some clean clothes before returning to the hospital. Looking at Justin, the proudest man in the capital, lying on the bed, his eyes closed, looking so fragile and broken. Seeing the raw, burnt flesh on his back from saving me, the basins of blood that had been drained. I couldn't hold back my despair any longer. A lump formed in my throat. I pressed my face against his hand and sobbed, my voice a desperate, gravelly whisper. "Justin, please wake up. I'll never fight with you again. I'll agree to whatever you say. Please, please wake up. Does that include being my girlfriend?" "Yes. As long as you wake up." After I said it, I sat up straight, stunned. Tears blurred my vision. I rubbed my eyes without a care for how I looked. Justin was holding my hand, a faint smile on his pale lips. "Carrie Smith, you already agreed. You promised. No take-backs." My face crumpled, and I threw myself into his arms, sobbing. Justin's mom heard the commotion and quickly called the doctors into the room. I shyly pulled away from him and stood to the side, watching them examine him. Justin's mom looked at her son, whose eyes were fixed on me, then at my blushing face. She smiled knowingly. Because Justin's family had kept the news quiet, it wasn't until he was about to be discharged that everyone found out it was him who was injured, not me. Our childhood friends all came to his house for a discharge party. The idea, of course, came from Henry. Justin held my hand the entire time, a hint of sweetness on his usually cold face. Everyone was amazed by this development, remarking that when the capital's resident iceberg fell in love, he was just as sappy as any normal person. Lily, after getting drunk, sidled up to me for some girl talk. "I'm so glad you're okay. I couldn't reach you for days, I was so worried. My phone was destroyed in the fire at the warehouse. I haven't had a chance to get a new SIM card yet." Lily patted my shoulder, her face full of relief. "As long as you're okay, that's all that matters. That Bella girl is getting locked up for attempted murder. She'll have plenty of time to enjoy prison food. I heard she kept telling the police she wanted to see Evan and Justin, insisting she was the main character and you were the one who should be in prison. Like a total psycho." I listened to Lily thoughtfully. In the original plot, I was the one who went to prison. I looked over at Justin in the living room, thinking about the story in my head, and how different everything was now. Maybe it was because I'd been thinking about it so much, but that night, I had a dream. The dream was about what happened after I went to prison. Unable to cope with the loss of my family, I killed myself. And Justin, who was supposed to be deeply in love with the heroine, had said with the same cold voice upon hearing of my suicide, she should have died a long time ago. But then, tears slowly rolled down his cheeks. It was such a split feeling, as if there was a trapped soul inside his second male lead shell, crying for my death. A few years later, he died in an accident on a cruise ship. When the rescue team found his body, he was tightly clutching our wedding ring. I woke up crying. Beside me, Justin, still asleep, tightened his arm around me. I leaned into his embrace, tracing the outline of his face in the dark. After a long time, I realized I couldn't doubt his feelings anymore. "I'll give us a chance," I thought. Justin's warm breath brushed against my ear. I snuggled into his arms and fell into a peaceful, dreamless sleep. Epilogue. My wife, the little idiot, still thinks she successfully drugged me that night, even now that we're married. I have no idea who gave her the bright idea to drug me. Probably Lily. But I should thank Lily for the assist. That night, I was playing along, half willing, but then she stopped midway and said she had the wrong person. I didn't sleep a wink that night, and then rumors started spreading that I couldn't perform. Henry came into my office, his gaze drifting downward, and asked hesitantly, "Justin, you don't actually have a problem, do you?" I said coldly, "Look again, and I'll gouge your eyes out." After we got married, I proved with my actions whether I had a problem or not. My wife has always been insecure. Before and after our wedding, she was always convinced that I had special feelings for Bella. I never told her that. In fact, I would sometimes hear things. Every time she argued with me, her words full of barbs, a voice in my ear would tell me to explain everything, to not miss my chance with her again. That voice had guided me through many things since we were kids. It only disappeared after we got married and I had a dream that felt like a past life. And I finally understood why my wife was so certain I liked Bella. Our fate in this life is something I begged for by breaking the plot with my suicide in the last one. Now, we live a happy life. Our second daughter is already school-aged, and my wife is still as beautiful as ever. Bella is getting out of prison soon. My wife has been having frequent nightmares again, muttering in her sleep about how Bella pushed her into the water. So, the day Bella was released, I went to see her. She looked at the burned scars on my arm and sneered. Carrie might not have seen it clearly, but I saw everything that night. "Justin Brooke, you're not just cruel to others, you're even crueler to yourself." I replied nonchalantly, "I should still thank you." Without this whole self-injury plot, she never would have accepted me so quickly. I let out a soft laugh. "Ms. White, it's time to realize you're not in your all-powerful story anymore. You do the crime, you do the time. I'll be waiting for you when you get out." Bella froze for a few seconds. Her hair was a mess, her expression manic. She looked at me like I was some kind of monster. "What are you going to do? I'm the main character. It's not supposed to be like this. Why did the plot change? Why did you all change your minds? Why are you all on that bitch Carrie's side? You're all supposed to like me. I just want to go home. Justin, let me go. I'm begging you, let me go." I watched her meltdown with cold eyes. Not long after Bella was released from prison, she drowned in a pond. It was a painful death. When my wife heard the news, she sighed with a mix of pity and relief. I took her hand and changed the subject. "Our daughter is on break soon. How about we take a family vacation? You've been so busy with your art exhibition, you've been neglecting me." She stuck out her tongue and leaned against me coquettishly. "I'm sorry, honey." I held her, my heart feeling full to bursting. This time, I didn't get it wrong. The sun was shining brightly outside. This is what happiness feels like.